There's a moment most men don't recognize until it's already too late. She doesn't disappear all at once. It's subtle. A reply that takes a little longer. A conversation that ends a little sooner. A warmth that quietly turns into something more like courtesy. And somewhere in the middle of that shift, a man starts to feel it. That low, restless pull in his chest that tells him something is slipping away. That feeling is dangerous. Not because it's wrong, but because of what it makes him do next. He reaches out. He finds small reasons to talk. He sends the message he already knows he shouldn't send. And every single move he makes, no matter how calm it looks on the surface, is soaked in one thing she can feel before she even reads the words. Need. And need is the one thing that cannot be hidden. Here's what nobody tells men about attraction. It doesn't live in what you say. It lives in how you carry yourself when things get uncertain. When she was warm, when she was present, staying grounded was easy. You didn't think about her constantly. You had your own rhythm. And that rhythm, that quiet self-possession, was exactly what pulled her toward you in the first place. But the moment she creates distance, that version of you vanishes. You become someone who revolves around her emotional availability. And she doesn't just notice that shift. She loses something because of it. What she loses is the image she had of you. The thing about space is that it's not empty. Space between two people is where perception lives. When you fill that space immediately, with texts, with questions, with low-level panic dressed up as concern, you answer a question she hadn't even finished asking yet. You tell her, without saying a word, that your sense of stability depends on her being close. That's the moment attraction starts to drain. But when you don't fill it, when you let the quiet remain quiet, something entirely different happens. She starts to sit with the absence. And absence has weight. It creates a kind of gravity that presence never can. Because presence is expected. Absence makes you think. Suddenly, she's the one wondering. Not dramatically, not necessarily consciously, but somewhere underneath the surface, something shifts. The question isn't, why isn't he talking to me? It's something closer to, why does this feel different? And different is interesting. Interest is attention. Attention is the beginning of everything. But here's the part that most men either skip over or completely misunderstand. This only works if it's real. If you go quiet as a move, if your silence is a strategy, a countdown, a performance, she will sense it. Not because women have some supernatural ability to read minds, but because manufactured detachment has a texture to it. It feels like waiting, and waiting is just another form of need with better posture. Real silence comes from somewhere else. It comes from genuinely redirecting your attention back to your own life, your work, the version of yourself you were building before she became the center of your focus. It comes from reaching, slowly and honestly, the place where her response becomes one possibility, not the only one. That's not cold. That's not a game. That's self-respect wearing its quietest face. And if she comes back, if the space works the way it sometimes does, you don't collapse back into availability like nothing happened. You stay at your own pace. You let her re-enter at a measured distance. You observe before you open. Because how a person returns tells you more than how they left. And if she doesn't come back, you still didn't lose. You didn't spend weeks shrinking yourself trying to hold on to something that was already walking in the other direction. You held your ground. You stayed intact. Most men measure success by whether she stayed. But the real question is whether you stayed. Stayed grounded, stayed yourself. Stayed in control of the one thing that was always yours to control. That's what silent power actually means. If this landed somewhere real, subscribe to Silent Power. More like this is coming.